Democracy, based on the principle of widespread representation of different groups, is a central feature of policy consideration. Then what are we to make of the Alberta Climate Change Panel, made up, as it is, solely of parties which favor renewables, carbon taxes, or cap and trade? Dr. Andrew Leach, economics professor of the University of Alberta, chairs the committee. He tweeted on June 25, 2015, that, "Starting my mandate, listening to Ed Whittingham from Pembina. Pembina has long pushed for carbon taxes or cap and trade. Pembina Institute and Pembina Foundation have received nearly $7 million US from foreign funders, some 1.2 million of which over the past decade came from the Oak Foundation, whose stated environment funding mission is to institute carbon trading systems. Pembina also supports the BC carbon tax, even though the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, citing NDP critics, calls it a bust." Another panel member is Stephanie Cairns, both a Pembina board member from BC and a former employee. And then there's Gordon Lambert, who comes from Suncor. Suncor has been working with Pembina since the 1990s. In fact, Suncor and Pembina created a partnership with 13 companies, 8 environmental groups, and the Canadian Federation of Municipalities that successfully lobbied the government for an incentive program that increased wind power in Canada from 100 megawatts to 4,000 megawatts. You might think that's good, but it cost you a bundle. The fourth panel representative, Linda Cody, works with Enbridge, which, despite being an oil and gas major, is also into wind power, with investments in some 13 wind farms, one of them financed by renewable energy credits contracted with California's Pacific Gas and Electric. And finally, there's Angela Adams, also a former Suncor employee, but now a national representative and director of education for Uniform, a private sector union with a stated mandate to support an ambitious green energy investment plan. Not exactly a balanced representation of society. But why should you care about the composition of the Alberta Climate Change Panel? Because the conclusions it reaches, which would seem to be inevitable given the panel's lack of balance, will end up costing you money, lots of it. You want examples? Albertans are paying some $2 billion for wind power transmission lines, which deliver only 4% of their annual power supply. While wind power is of no benefit to the environment, it is, however, required for carbon trading as it generates the Renewable Energy Certificates, or RECs. The U.S. Energy Information Authority reports power prices increased to 3 times that of the U.S. in Germany and Denmark after those two countries introduced renewables and carbon tax trading schemes. And Interpol maintains that emissions are sometimes increased simply to make more money. With no dissenting voices on the Alberta Climate Change Leadership Panel, is Alberta soon to experience similar boondoggles? What are the small or medium-sized businesses? Who is representing them? Where are the consumer representatives to advocate for the aging and the vulnerable? Where are the representatives from industry, which uses 75% of the power generation in Alberta and creates all the jobs? It's time for the NDP government to let average Albertans have a voice, and not just their environmental cronies. For Friends of Science, I'm Michelle Stirling.